Today's redstone video is going to be quite interesting because for the first time in my 6 years on YouTube creating redstone videos, I've decided to dig around in some redstone modifications, and I've discovered a mod called Redstone++, and in that mod you can actually go into the configuration files and change the piston push limit from 12 to whatever number that you want. And obviously I went for 1,000. Oh my word, I mean, already this is totally ridiculous. Part of me didn't believe that this could actually exist, so to see it actually working, alright, where do we even begin? I think this seems like a good place to start. Let's boot it up. Whoa! It's a little bit on the laggy side. Okay, so we've got a big piston feed tape. This is an enormous piston feed tape, and yet I can see why Minecraft doesn't like having a higher than 12 block piston push limit, because as you can see, the game doesn't really render it too well. We have some slightly invisible walls going. I wonder if we can actually go through them. No, it is purely visual. Okay, right. That's just a little bit of fun. I think the first proper project that we should work on is something that I've always wanted to do, and that is to create a flying island. An island that gets pushed along by pistons. This is going to be interesting. I don't even know where to start. Right, well, I guess the first thing that I should do is construct some form of island. So we're going to need stone, we're going to need dirt, we're going to need grass. We can't really have any trees, but I would like to have a house on the top. And remember, this entire thing has to be solid because otherwise the flying machine will actually collapse the island, which isn't particularly good. We don't want it to fold in on itself. Ooh, I've actually just thought of something. What we could do is we could put the flying machine, because originally what I was going to have is the flying machine on the outside of the island pushing it along. But if we put the flying machine on the inside of the island and then fill the inside of the island with slime blocks, we can then pull those slime blocks along, which will pull the back of the island along and then also push the front of the island forwards. And because we can push and pull 1,000 blocks, as long as our island isn't too big, it will work and it will all be powered from the inside. I don't know if any of that made sense. Progress is coming along pretty well on our island. We've got all of the blocks wrapping around like this, and if we take a look on the inside, we've got all of the slime blocks which are going to be moving this thing, but I just want to check that this thing is under 1,000 blocks, which it is. Okay, that's good. Right, okay, let's start placing in all of the grass on the top so we can cover all of this over, and then we can build up our house that is going to be up here. And I've just had a thought. Forget a house, I'm going to build a lighthouse from the Gorillas, which is Feel Good Inc. It's one of my favourite songs, one of my favourite bands. There's a flying island in it, that's perfect. So after slightly closer inspection, it's not actually a lighthouse in the Gorillas music video, it's actually a windmill. But a windmill would be impossible to build on this flying island because the actual windmill segments would get left behind. So instead we're doing a slight modification and we're going to be going with a lighthouse instead. I hope that's okay. Right, here goes. I've made a backup of the world just in case things go completely wrong. But I have pretty high hopes that everything's going to be working. So here is the flying machine. This is our triggering piston. It is a 3-piston flying machine, so hopefully it should be slow enough that we'll be able to see it without this thing flashing itself out of existence. But here goes. 3, 2, 1, action. It almost worked, but then our pistons actually got what? I mean, it did move, didn't it? We all saw it move. I'm a little bit lost as to what's happened there. Oh, it's working! It's working! Our island is flying along! Oh my word, that is worked out so much better than I was expecting. I'm going to stand on top of this thing. I mean, it's a little bit... It's such a shame that this thing is just disappearing in front of our very eyes. And as you can see, oh boy, it's not really habitable either. This isn't the sort of island that you actually want to stand on because, as you can see, I've just dropped down through the floor and I'm now on the inside of it, and now I've dropped out the bottom. But still... Oh, I absolutely love this thing. This is bringing back some serious childhood memories of watching that music video over and over again. and it's spawning some zombies. I'm loving it. Okay, that was pretty cool, but it's time to move on to the next project, which is to make a ridiculously fast and ridiculously powerful cobblestone generator. The idea being that we can push as much cobblestone as we want. So in theory, we should be able to make this massive and ridiculously fast. I just have to find a space to build it. Part 1 has been completed, which is the first module of our cobblestone generator being constructed. And I have to say, I mean, already this is relatively quick. I'm kind of struggling to take out all of the cobblestone as it goes up here. But we are going to go much, much bigger than this. I mean, first off, we have to extend this out a little bit across in this direction. But then we're going to layer up all of these generators and we're going to push this cobblestone across in one massive block. I don't know how much cobblestone we're going to be generating a second, but it's going to be tons. This is a seriously cool looking redstone contraption already. I'm just in the process of connecting up all of the redstone clocks to this one redstone line so we can turn this thing on and off when we want to, because I imagine it is going to be quite laggy. And then once we've done that, all we have to do is do the pistons that are going to push across, and then all of this cobblestone that is being generated will just be shifted across the landscape. That's going to be quite something to watch. Oh my word, this is looking totally ridiculous. It's so crazy how redstone contraptions can look once you remove the piston push limit, because you can just get things like this going on. This piston back here is still going to be pushing cobblestone way off over there out of the view distance. That's totally mind-bending to me. As someone who's been doing redstone for years, this doesn't make any sense to my little head. Anyway, let's start connecting these things up. So that repeater goes there. And that means that if we were to activate this, which I'm going to have to be very careful here, if we were to activate this... Yes. Yes, okay, that's working, that's working. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, so that is perfect. That means that that redstone signal strength is going to reach the top of that half slab tower, which is going to power all of those pistons. All of these pistons are now connected up with half slabs. And all of it should, and I'm going to emphasize that, should be good to go. But before I activate it, I guess I probably should back up the world real quick. I've learned from many past experiences that it's always a good idea to back up worlds before activating something big. Okay, here goes. Now it's active, and it does seem to be working. So the cobblestone is now on its way. It's made its way onto those pistons. It is making its way onto those pistons there. You can see that the cobblestone is being generated. And holy mackerel, this is a very satisfying thing to watch, if not a little bit laggy. You know what this would be perfect for? I think I'm actually going to do a quick time-lapse. A time-lapse in a redstone video. And during this super fast time-lapse, I actually want to ask you guys a bit of a question. Do you think that Mojang should increase the 12 block push limit? You see, ever since slime blocks were introduced into the game, this has kind of been up for debate, because before slime blocks, you never really ran it into the piston push limit. You didn't really feel that limited by it, because you'd have to be doing some weird stuff to be pushing 12 blocks. However, once slime blocks were introduced, obviously you hit that 12 block piston push limit all the time. It's incredibly limiting, and without it, as you can see right here, it does open up a lot of opportunities. You can build some really crazy stuff. I mean, should they increase it? Should they get rid of it altogether? I'd love to hear your thoughts. So I think it's safe to say that was incredibly satisfying to watch. And while I was recording that time lapse, I actually did a little bit of maths. And as far as I can tell, this thing produces 225 bits of cobblestone every 15 redstone ticks. I have no clue how much cobblestone that is a second, but it seems like quite a lot to me. Anyway, we're going to be leaving this thing behind because there's one more redstone contraption that I want to work on with these new piston mechanics. This one should be quite cool. I want to create the fanciest and best looking realistic piston elevator I possibly can. So I'm creating the carriage right now. This is what we're going to be traveling up and down in, and the idea is that we're going to have a cage of slime blocks like this, and then we're going to be able to call up and down this cage thing. You're going to stand inside it, and this is actually going to be the elevator. It's going to be so strange going back to regular Minecraft with the piston block push limits because, I mean, I'm getting so used to just building ridiculous structures like this. Speaking of ridiculous structures, this is definitely quite ridiculous. I mean, can you imagine traveling around in a solid quartz elevator? So we've got quartz all on the bottom here. We've got sea lanterns on the top and bottom lighting it up. And then in the walls, we have got some rather handsome faces. Now, these should end up looking better once we start getting the surrounding blocks around the outside of like the elevator shaft. It should end up looking quite cool. But now I need to actually work out how we're going to do this thing. So I guess it would just be an up and then a down. Yeah, I mean, this is going to be quite simple actually. Now, I've decided to do something quite special with the walls of this thing. I've decided to use shulker boxes. So this is probably one of the most expensive elevators in the history of mankind, but the inside of the shulker box, this side here, has got a really, really cool texture. I love the way that it looks, and if we take a look in the elevator shaft here, this now looks awesome. That's the perfect backdrop, and in theory, they can't be moved by slime blocks. If they can, we really are in trouble. Hopefully the slime blocks just slide past the shulker boxes, and then this can actually work as an elevator shaft. If not, I've just wasted a bunch of time. So let's see if this functions then. If we update this, that has now taken off, and if we take a look on the inside, let's see if we can quickly do this. I'm kind of in there, kind of not. Yeah, we've made it up to the top. I mean, that wasn't it wasn't the best demonstration I've ever done, but that's just gone up to the top right there. So now what we need to do is we need to find out where that shulker box, not shulker box, where the observer is. Oh, there it was. That's the one, and I now have to be very careful because this can push 1,000 blocks, and that means it's going to go through into the floor. Okay, we hit. Thankfully, there's no caves under there because that must go right the way down to bedrock. Oh my word, we have gotten so lucky there. Look, that has dodged all the caves, and the reason that stopped is because it's gone. we've got no gaps underneath it. It goes right the way down to bedrock. Anyway, after that slight scare, this thing should now be finished. That should be the final step in the process. So now, if we hit this button, that activates it, and we fall right the way through the floor. So it kind of works, kind of doesn't. If we wait here for a little while, then the system has now kicked back into action, and the down works. The down works quite nicely. I mean, it's a little bit. I'd be quite scared to be in this elevator as it seems to be disappearing quite a lot. If we give it another go, yeah, this definitely doesn't work quite so well on the way up. That being said, though, it is beautiful. It's probably one of the best looking elevators I've created, and it functions as an elevator. You just can't ride in it, which, I mean, yeah, that kind of means that it doesn't function as an elevator. And on that note, I think it's time to end today's video. This has been a lot of fun messing around with these new redstone mechanics in the Redstone ++ mod, and I have to say, this mod does contain some other fairly interesting features, like these half slime blocks, and also the fact that you can move tile entities like droppers and dispensers. So if you do want to see more of this mod playing action, then please let me know down in the comment section. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please sure to that like button, and if you really loved it, then make sure to subscribe. But thanks for watching, guys. This has been Mumbo, and I'm out. I'll see you later.